Hey, dude, this dog like stinks, man. Okay, groomer, do something about it, man.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey, all you pet stylists. You found the GroomPod. Welcome to our virtual salon. My name is Susie, and I'm your host. I'm a mobile groomer from Seattle, Washington, and anyone who knows me will tell you I love to talk, especially about my job. One of my favorite people to talk to is my friend and mentor and co-star of the show, Miss Barbara Berg.
Hi, Susie. I'm so excited to be here today. I got some real geeky stuff to share. Can't wait.
Geeky stuff is some of my favorite stuff of all. Oh, yes. Welcome to episode 411 of the GroomPod, recorded on May 5th, 2024 in Snohomish, Washington, and temporarily in Tucson, Arizona. This podcast is brought to you by our kind sponsors, Best Shot, Show Season, Precision Sharp, Groomore, and Stasco. And you guys, if you want to tip your podcasters or you want to throw a little money Barbara's way to help her get across country, you can do so at our website, thegroompod.com, and use the donation button for Barbara or join us on Patreon for the show. Yes, Barbara, we had a donation. Woohoo!
Woo!
And it was from Monica Lang. Thank you, Monica. We appreciate it.
So much.
So, Barbara, I know that the world is... I should tell you guys what we're going to cover this week, right?
Right.
We're going to do Oops, I Quicked a Nail and What's Up with Whiteners. And mostly it's going to be What's Up with Whiteners because Barbara's going to do a bird's eye view. I mean, a deep, deep dive on this. But just as a precursor to that, we're going to talk about quicking a nail. So, What's New is brought to you by Groomore Software. If you haven't found Groomore, you're missing out. Groomore is an all-in-one software solution for your grooming business. Whether you are a solo mobile groomer or manage several shops, Groomore has everything you need. 24-hour online booking and forms, routing, credit card processing, reminders, Google Calendar and QuickBooks integration, and so much more. And the best customer service anywhere. Shop, mobile, or house call, Groomore has you covered. And they're giving us a free month. Just enter GroomPod22 in the coupon code. We had some serious craziness in my neighborhood, Barbara.
Yeah?
Yes.
Tell me.
You might have even heard about it. Actually, lots of people might have heard about it. I don't know how far it got, but we had people were driving down the road, and all of a sudden, 4 zebras came downtown North Bend.
Oh, I heard about one of them was named Sugar.
Yes, yeah.
I heard about that. I heard it on NPR radio.
So they were headed to Montana. They had been purchased somewhere, I don't know where, but they were headed to Montana, and the back door of the trailer popped open. So they pulled over to re-secure it, and after she had kind of opened it the rest of the way, she got rushed at the door, and all 4 zebras went out. And they had a party in North Bend. They were running all over downtown. They were in people's yards. It's very rural. It's Cascade Mountains. It's at the base of Mount Si, and there's lots of riding and hiking trails, and there's big rural properties. And so everybody got so excited about the zebras because it was just so crazy. People were looking for them, and then the social media went nuts, and everybody started to post the zebra at their work establishment or on the ferries or down at Pike Place catching a fish or playing tennis or drinking Starbucks, and it's been so much fun with these zebras. Well, finally, yesterday, I guess or day before yesterday, somebody was out in their yard and they had a horse trailer, and the back of the horse trailer was open, and they walked over there, and Z had walked into the back of the horse trailer and was just in there waiting. She was done.
Oh my God, she was done.
So funny.
What a good girl.
Yep, she was out for almost a week having a party.
Oh my God. And the others, how did they get the others?
Through team effort in downtown, they were captured pretty quickly. It was just Z who was loose.
So they were together for a minute and then Z wandered off or Sugar wandered
Yes,
off.
exactly. I think they were together for at least a day where everybody was out. The whole region went nuts and everybody was trying to go out there. And the funny thing was, in my horseback riding groups on Facebook, people were spotting the zebras while they were out riding. They could see them on the
Oh
trail.
my God.
There's cool pictures out there of people spotting the zebras. They went through people's yards, or Z did especially, but in the beginning, all of them were wandering around. So, yeah, I think she was finished and she chose people over freedom and went back to this guy's horse trailer and just walked in there.
That is so cute. I love that ending.
It was so much fun. And in this town of North Bend, which is where they shot the TV show Twin Peaks, you might remember. I didn't
Yeah.
watch Twin Peaks, so I don't know. But it's a very quaint little touristy town on the way up to the ski resorts. And yeah, it was so much fun. I'm so glad we will never forget it. No one in this area will ever forget the day the zebras got loose.
God.
So, you know what else happened this week was the Pacific Northwest show was Sunday. So that's why we didn't have a show this last week.
Yeah.
It was a good show. They've really got to knock off the too many scissors vendors there because I don't think any of the scissor vendors made any money. There wasn't enough shampoo or general products there, but the education was good. I heard people enjoyed that. There were lots of demos. Of course, there's always the networking, which I appreciate and enjoy. And it was good, but apparently there was a kerfuffle, Barbara.
Yeah.
And it was a big kerfuffle. And it was something about the contest ring, and I was there, but I didn't hear it and I didn't see it until I saw it on social media. And it's kind of disappointing. And there were some thefts, like one of the scissor guy got scissors stolen and another guy got a bunch of equipment stolen, I think. And
Oh,
that sucked. And the show was not it didn't appear to be as well attended as it has been in the past. But I did have a good time, and I encourage people to go because it's the only show in town, and we're lucky to have it because there's lots of places in the Northwest, actually lots of places in the United States that don't have the luxury of having a grooming show right in our backyard. So I will attend, but I was bummed about the shopping because that's the big thing that I was going for was the shopping. Now, like I said, the demos were good and fun. I was sitting at the booth for the Washington Association of Professional Pet Groomers at the show, and I did really good. I actually stayed sitting down behind the booth, being a person behind the booth for like many hours instead of flitting around for all of the hours.
many hours?
Well, okay.
Over 90 minutes?
Yes. Not probably over 120 minutes, but definitely over 90 minutes. I was in behind the desk for that long. And here's the really big news. I ate asparagus. I figured we should let it.
No.
Yes.
Oh, God. That's a merit badge.
I'm giving myself a ding for eating a vegetable.
Did you eat one asparagus spear or what?
I ate 5, and they were grown in my neighbor's yard. So they were the freshest asparagus I could ever get. They were just cut and then thrown in the pan. And I ate them, and they were delicious, but, you know, they were not grocery store asparagus, which seemed to be a different animal.
Well, always fresh cut out of the garden is going to be more flavorful than something that it had to travel and wait for you to pick it up.
Yeah, it made a
You
difference.
know, that's just, I mean, makes a difference with tomatoes, and it makes a difference with everything. We don't, most of us don't even know what the real thing right out of the garden tastes like on any of our vegetables. We might even like broccoli. You don't know.
I don't mind broccoli, but yeah, I don't know if they're growing broccoli. They're growing a lot of stuff I won't eat, but if they do grow tomatoes, I'll get to pick them off the vines and eat those.
Tomatoes are one of my main vegetables.
Ah, yes. Well, I like those little ones.
I like all of them. I like them on sandwiches. I like them with tuna fish sandwich with a nice big fat slice of tomato on it. I do well with tomatoes.
Nice.
And I can eat the little cherry tomatoes just like right out of the box.
They're pretty delicious.
Actually, I'm not a bad vegetable person, especially as long as I can chew them.
Yes, I've been with you to eat and you ate vegetables. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm always impressed.
and well, I probably did it especially for that reaction. Let's see, well,
I can be entertaining. So, did you have anything exciting this week?
well, I had a huge geeky excitement. I have a geeky merit badge.
Oh, cool.
I have geek bragging rights because I corrected artificial intelligence.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
It's so cool. So, if you've done any chatting with Chat GTP or any of those other AI chat options, every time you pull it up, they'll say, we could be wrong. They remind you that it could be wrong. And so it's important that you don't take it like the word of God, even though I consider AI to be something of a goddess. So here's what happened. I was working on my whitener business, and I was chatting with Chat GTP about optical brighteners, and Chat GTP said this. In the United States, pet shampoos are regulated by the FDA and they are considered to be cosmetic products. Cosmetic products for pets are subject to similar regulation as those for humans, including restrictions on certain ingredients and requirements for safety and labeling.
Ooh.
Big one. Me said, I need to correct you. In the USA, cosmetics marketed for pets do not fall under FDA regulation as do cosmetics for humans. This is especially true in regards to labeling. Full disclosure of ingredients is not required. Manufacturers can claim proprietary privilege without filing a request to do so or prove trade secret applicability. Ingredients may be listed in any order, not necessarily related to percentage volume in products, and inky names are not required. Chat GTP, you're correct, and I appreciate the clarification. Cosmetic products marketed for pets, including pet shampoos, are indeed regulated differently than cosmetics for humans in the United States. While the FDA oversees the safety of human cosmetics, it does not have specific regulatory authority over pet cosmetics. Instead, the regulation of pet cosmetics often falls under the jurisdiction of other agencies or may have less stringent requirements compared to products intended for human use. So not only did she accept the correction, but she reworded
That's
her
pretty impressive.
response to it, so that, and then she says, thank you for pointing out these important distinctions in regulation and labeling practices for pet cosmetics in the United States. Me, thank you for accepting the correction. It is my life goal to increase transparency in pet product labeling and educate professional pet groomers in the importance of understanding the ingredients and products. I have been working on this for decades in spite of a great deal of resistance from many players in the industry. I appreciate your partnership. Chat GTP said, that's a noble and important life goal. Increasing transparency. I mean, we are getting big friends now. Increasing transparency in pet product labeling and educating pet groomers about the significance of understanding ingredients can have a significant impact on the well being of pets and the satisfaction of their owners. It's commendable that you've been working toward this goal despite encountering resistance along the way. Collaboration and partnership with individuals like yourself who are dedicated to improving standards in the pet care industry are essential for driving positive change. If there's anything specific you'd like assistance with, or if you have further questions or insights you'd like to share, feel free to let me know. I'm here to support your efforts however I can! Exclamation point.
How fun.
Isn't that a high? That is a geeky high if I ever had one. And that's mostly the that's my life.
It's true.
I live in my brain. You know, my body is so fucked up that I don't relish it. But my mind is still working, and to have that interaction with something as significant to our future as AI and Chat GTP, it's a proud moment for me. And it does show you that the database is open to correction.
Well, it needs to be because it's not always right on.
Yeah, it needs to be. And now I'm a trusted source.
Yeah.
Do you get it? I am a trusted source for artificial intelligence, girl. Woo!
Yeah. Well, we've always known you were a trusted source here on the podcast, but that's exciting and fun, and I'm glad you shared that with us.
Okay, well, let's move on.
Let's do it. Let's take a break and then head to our first appointment, which is all about what happens when you accidentally quick a nail. Let me tell you about Best Shot's newest addition to the Ultramax Pro line. Ultramax Hair Hold is a flexible hairspray that can be layered on for a stronger hold. Ultramax Hair Hold spray is great, but my favorite new product is called the Max, and I won't groom without it. It's a fragrance-free, ultra-concentrate conditioner and detangler. It reduces drying time and handles undercoat and tangles like magic. Just a few drops in the final rinse or spray it on and dry it in. Contact your favorite Best Shot distributor or learn more online at bestshotpet.com. Grooming success begins with Best Shot in your tub. Made from the best stuff on earth. Ready, groomers? Here comes our first appointment. This topic comes to us from our friend Kathleen Townsend, who yesterday accidentally quicked a dog's nail and it would not stop bleeding.
I've been there.
Oh gosh, I know. Imagine being a mobile groomer and having a white rug on the living room of the house of the dog you're doing, and you quick a nail.
There's always a fucking white rug. Why do people have dogs and have white rugs and white couches?
I don't know, because I got a strict edict in the very beginning that said I was not allowed to own anything that was white or wear anything that was white because I just can't keep it clean. It's just crazy. But I've had I've bought a few carpet cleanings and furniture cleanings because I forgot to tell someone that the dog had been quicked. You know me, I get to talking and I just forget to mention it. But where in the process do you do the nail trim? I mean, in general, for a dog that's cooperative.
For most dogs, last.
You do it last. Okay. I do it before the bath, after I've done like an inspection and any ear cleaning and that kind of stuff, and then I do the nails, and then I put them in the bathtub because I really want there to be a considerable amount of time between when I do the nails and when I take the dog into the house. That's where the disasters happen, or heaven forbid, in somebody's fancy car. That happens too, because what happens is the clot gets knocked off. Even if it stopped bleeding, the clot can get knocked off, and there you go. It could be 3 hours later, the dog plays on the rug and it knocks that clot off and it just starts bleeding like crazy. How much do you think the angle of the cut can affect the way the nail bleeds or doesn't bleed, or stops bleeding, I should say? Do you know what I mean? If you cut the nail parallel to the floor, the likelihood is it's going to catch on the rug a lot better than if you angle it towards the top of the foot. So the top of the foot is shorter than the bottom part of the nail, closer to the bottom part of the foot.
When you do that, you need to judge your distance on the nail from the bottom, not the bottom of your clippers, not the top.
Oh, yeah. Because then you will be quicking the dog.
Yeah. Or you can do it the other way, and then actually you're doing shorter on the top. If you're really clipping back towards the dog,
Uh-huh.
you're going to be clipping shorter on the top of the nail and less short on the bottom, which is a more natural thing. I think, yeah. So the angle can be important. And some people are so afraid of quicking a nail that they only will use Dremels.
Oh, good topic, by the way. When I was in the Northwest Grooming Show, I bought a Diamond Groove nail grinder tip, which is the one that they show on TV, that was obscenely expensive.
Was it $100?
$160 for the tip.
I saw those on the Pet Store Direct website. It's like $112 there, but yeah, those true diamond tips are over $100.
Well, what I found out is the one that we were given way back when, that I have been trying to use, isn't shit compared to the Diamond Groove one. The Diamond Groove one is constructed better, and it was worth the money. And here's the kicker: it fits underneath my nail cap, my fabulous Dremel nail cap that I love so much. This fit right down underneath it. Even though they said I didn't need it, I still think it's helpful to me because it's got all the little different size holes and it holds the nail right in place. But anyway, I digress. I do use a nail grinder a lot of the time. I start with that. I always give the dog the option to choose that. But if it doesn't work for them, then I go to the clippers, which is why I'm not as good a nail trimmer with clippers as I am with the Dremel. I can really shape it with the Dremel. So here we are. We've quicked a nail. Now we have to get it to stop. That's really the topic. So I carry Quick Stop, and I can't remember what the other one that they were selling at Groomer's Helper for a little while.
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
I didn't either, but I still have some of it. So I've got both of those. My Quick Stop in the trailer gets wet, so it's always a paste rather than a powder, and I actually like it better as a paste. I think it's easier to manage.
You know what? I was reading on Pet Store Direct that the Quick Stop recommendation is that you apply it with damp cotton.
Oh, interesting.
I thought so. I never thought to do that. So actually pasting it a little bit is not a bad idea, a little pastiness.
We did it at the vet hospital for the birds. That's the first time I saw it, when I was helping with that. But yeah, so I've got paste in there. And I know you're supposed to put it on and then hold a little pressure on the end of the nail. I'm taking a lot of these off of the suggestions that we got on our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/thegroompod. So this was a suggestion that you squeeze the sides of the nail to inhibit the bleeding from the vein. Have you ever tried that? I've never tried that. I just hold it on the end.
No, but I applied pressure on the top of the foot where the nail is.
Okay.
So I've done that. But you've really got to be patient and wait to give the Quick Stop a chance to adhere.
Oftentimes, when I've got a bleeder like this, it's, a stage 7 bleeder, it's because the dog wiggled and I took off way more. Because I usually don't get seeping nails, I get a real oops bleeder. They can be hard to stop.
Oh, I had a terrible one once. It was the parents of another client, and it was a German Shepherd dog. And I just took off a little bit, and I just had this, oh man, level 10 bleeder, and it
A real
wouldn't stop.
gusher.
It was a real gusher, and I kept applying and pressure and applying and pressure, and it kept bleeding through. And the husband, the old man, was like turning blue,
Oh, God.
and freaking out at the sight of his dog's blood. Oh, it was awful.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
It was one of those moments that I can't forget.
The energy level of the dog, like if we get upset and they're feeding off of us and now the dog is getting upset because we're upset, then the blood starts pumping even worse. It's terrible. Oh,
I know it's really a bad situation, and there are some dogs that are undiagnosed bleeders.
I can relate.
Maybe they're taking a medication that their people don't know that it's thinning their blood. What happened with this dog is I found out that they had been up on Mount Lemon the day before, and the dog had slid down some shale and scraped itself. And so it had already damaged its nails.
It did its own manicure while it was hiking.
Yeah, but it's what drew their attention to the nails. It was a big fail. I mean, I never saw those people again. And frankly, I was glad because that old man was really a trip. I mean, he's what made me anxious. I'm good with the dog, and I can project calmness in the middle of a storm. But when the people are like going to faint,
That's a little more challenging, definitely.
that was pretty horrible. What did they say on our Facebook group about using super glue?
Oh, I said that. I said that sometimes when I can't get it to stop, if I can get it to stop for a moment, then I'll use super glue to seal up the end. And other people said they did it too. Have you ever used that?
Yep,
Well, it's hard to get it to stick if the nail is still bleeding, so you've got to get a little bit of time to get it on there.
right. But I've used super glue several times. I'm not going to say a lot because I haven't had a lot of injuries or a lot of bad bleeding experiences in my 50 plus years, but I've had a few. And I've learned to keep super glue on hand at all times because you just never know when a drop might save you an enormous vet bill.
Last year, when I nicked the cat, I went and bought myself some vet bond.
And now I noticed again on Pet Store Direct,
What do you think Barbara was doing before the show, people?
they have a line of products there that are kind of medicated products for pets. And they drew my attention to it through a text during the week.
I see.
So I went there, and they have a veterinary super glue. I think it costs $16. See, the problem with the veterinary products is that you use it once and then it just like dries up inside or can't be opened again. Or that's why I like to have both a veterinary approved bonding agent, which is basically a one shot super glue tube in my first aid kit at all times. And I did have a conversation with one of my veterinarian buddies one time about did he think it was all right? And he said, yes, especially if you're using a fresh super glue. What he said is that the vet bond manufacturer makes them wear hazmat suits, and the super glue people just wear white coats.
That's funny.
So
My vet friends also encouraged me to carry that in the trailer, either super glue or vet bond.
it's just that it's not that big a difference.
Right.
It's not that big a difference. What doesn't mean that you should give up on the veterinary bond. I'm so glad that Pet Store Direct has it right on their website. It makes it so accessible.
Yes. When I've got a bleeder and I've done it at the first part of the process, when I'm drying dogs, they're standing on a moisture magnet towel on my table. So the towel actually sometimes does the work of the quick stop and stops the bleeding on the nail. I find that's pretty helpful because it wicks away the blood. It also gives you the opportunity to get to a clean surface, which brings me to a tip from our friend Denise Macer McDonald at Macer's Grooming School in the Northwest here. And she said, if you have put quick stop on the nail and it's now bleeding again, don't just pack more quick stop on there. And I know from personal experience that's easily knocked off on the carpet later if you just keep packing the quick stop on there. She says clean the nail off with hydrogen peroxide and reapply the quick stop to a clean, free of quick stop nail. She says that works better. I thought that was interesting, and I can't wait to try that on my next Boo Boo, which also doesn't come very often at my place either. So I'm happy to say that. There was another really good quick stop tip that came from Virginia Beth, and she carries nail caps. And if she has a problem with a nail that doesn't want to stop bleeding, she puts quick stop in the nail cap and then just crams the nail cap over the nail. So there's the nail protected from injury, and it's in the septic powder, so it stops itself that way, and it protects people's cars if they're going home, or in my case, their house. So I am immediately, after we're done podcasting, going to get a set of dog nail caps because I've got cat nail caps.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I do some of the bigger dogs. So what a great idea.
Nail caps are one of those things that you have to do it a bunch. There's a little learning curve that happens in the application of nail caps. I never quite surmounted the learning curve.
I don't think she's gluing them on. I think she's just choosing a size and pressing it on and letting it fall off eventually. But for the time that it stays on, which they do cling on pretty well without the nail glue if you pick the right size, especially the drive home in the car where the dogs are excited, they'll knock that clot off and nothing flat back there. But this would eliminate that. And then if it falls off, no big deal. Pretty cool.
Cool.
I'm going to try
Okay.
it. Anyway, what about if you've stopped the bleeding and you send the dog home and then an hour later the people call and they say we were roughhousing on the lawn and now the dog's toe is bleeding again? What do you tell them then?
You idiot.
So I try to remember to tell people when I've clicked a nail because of things like this happening. But if I have forgotten to tell them and they call, then I'll tell them this on the phone. You can use cornstarch or flour as an emergency blood clotter.
Sugar, too.
Oh, sugar too. Yeah, good idea.
We use sugar. Dave showed me how to use sugar because he's a diabetic and he keeps sugar cubes in his backpack at all times.
Oh, yum.
We jam that nail in the sugar cube, and that helped. And that's something to do if you cut their tongue, which is an accident for another story.
Yes, it is. Okay, we're going to move on to our next subject, which is the deep dive into whiteners. What the heck is it with those whiteners? But first, we're going to hear from our sponsors.
Show Season has a great enzymatic cleaner called Kennel Fresh. And you dilute it with warm water and it smells good, and then it evaporates to be a deodorant. As the Kennel Fresh dries, it's enzymatic. It eats the bacteria and the odor source. So it's really good stuff. You can use it indoors or out. Find it at your local distributors or showseasongrooming.com.
We want to welcome Randy and Cheryl Lowe from Precision Sharp and invite you to check out their website where you can see their newest precise cut shear called Lynx. It's a patented design featuring a thumb ring that slides the length of the handle for perfect ergonomic placement of your thumb. Slide it and lock it into position to get your best groom on. Check it out at precisionsharp.com.
Groomers, take your seats. It's time for B-Bird's Classroom.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the curator of ingredients, Miss Barbara Bird.
Hi there. Okay, that's an awesome introduction. So I've always been fascinated by whitening shampoos. For one reason, I had Bichons. Now I have Maltese. There have been days at my shop when all we groomed were little white dogs, and really. And when I was grooming bigger dogs, we had Samoyeds that we wanted to whiten and brighten up. So I've written about this before, but this time I decided to start fresh and just update all my information. So here we go. The whitening process consists of two elements: deep cleaning and optical enhancement. So we often don't even think about the cleaning part. We just assume shampoo, we're using it, it's going to clean. But it's important to understand that the color white with hair is actually an absence of color, not a pigment itself. White hair has no color. And in fact, it's kind of transparent.
My mom's hair was really transparent.
The whiter it is, the more transparent. I went to a hairstylist show with my hairstylist friend. She took me to a trade show, and they had this system where they put this wand to your scalp, and then it's on their screen. It showed you highly magnified picture of your hair on the scalp. That was freaky. It was freaky. It was freaky. And at that point, I was dyeing my hair, but we could see where the red hair dye was in my hair strands. And we could see, and the white part, which I always left out, white around the top of my forehead there, it was transparent. And I could see the medulla in my hair strands.
Wow.
I saw my own medulla. I think I need, maybe we can put that on my gravestone. Although I prefer to have my gravestone say, "Here lies Barbara Bird, never audited." That's my personal goal. Okay, getting back, white hair has no color. And so deep cleaning is very necessary to remove the fine particles of dirt and environmental pollutants that have settled within the hair cuticle and cause dullness and even a gray tinge to the coat. This requires serious detergent cleansers. For this reason, assessment of a whitening or brightening shampoo requires we take a look at the cleansing system of the product. Some whitener shampoos for pets have extra cleansing agents to boost cleaning power. Examples are ammonium xylene sulfonate. I love the ingredient because it's xylene is spelled Xylene.
Very fancy.
That's so cute. So examples are ammonium xylene sulfonate used by Chris Christensen in the original White on White, which was an enormous bestseller. It was, the White on White was what Chris built his business on, right?
Right.
Others use sodium borate. Best Shot and Ashley Craig use sodium borate. You want to know what the AKA, also known as, for sodium borate is?
Yeah.
Borax.
Borax, like laundry soap?
Yes, borax. So here's the truth. All whitening technology has migrated from the laundry industry into the cosmetic industry. That even goes for a lot of our detergents.
Oh.
But yeah, borax, and it's cosmetic grade, and they're sure they always say certified cosmetic grade sodium borate. Like, I'm thinking, why do they have to say that? And then I found out that it was also known as borax, and I understood that they want to be very clear that it's safe. Sodium borate works a lot like OxyClean. It converts itself into hydrogen peroxide in the wash and does some extra cleaning and removal of dinginess from your laundry, or in this case, your pet or your hair. And then another option for increasing cleansing ability of a shampoo is to have an extra large portion of the primary surfactant or surfactant mixture. Now, you can't tell, that's undetectable from looking at the ingredient list. The ingredient list is going to be the same. They just happen to have extra surfactant in there to do a more deep cleaning. So it's very wise to be extra careful when using any whitener shampoo to not get the shampoo in the eyes of the pet or your own.
Okay.
Okay? Now, looking at optical enhancement, we have two ways to enhance the perception of white, and we need to appreciate that whiteness is a perception of whiteness more than it actually is whiter. It's an interaction of the human eye and the object that's been whitened. It's important to consider that individual differences will occur. In other words, what you see as whiter whites may not impress me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's perception. Everybody's eyes are a little bit different.
The environment, the lighting in your room makes a difference. The difference between fluorescent light and sunlight makes a difference in how you perceive whiteness. So when you're enhancing the perception of whiteness, you're working on all of these kind of external factors. And one of them would be colorants, to deposit color into the hair that then reflects light in a way that appears more white to the human eye. Do dogs notice that Snowy had a whitener shampoo? Probably not. Well, maybe my Maltese Marco would, because he's very color conscious. He will not play with the yellow green tennis balls or balls of any yellow green. That tennis ball color, he won't. He won't.
Really?
He won't retrieve it. He won't bring it back for you to throw again. He'll leave it in the hallway for days. Even if he can't find anything to play with, he won't bring you that ball. And he's that way about, he won't play with his red ball. He won't play with, there's a lot of colors that he won't have anything to do with. He wouldn't play it with the gay baby that I bought at Target. It was a dog toy with the rainbow colors for Pride Month. And I thought, oh, how cool. I'm going to take Marco, this gay baby, and we can celebrate Pride Month. No, I'm not picking that. No, he's homophobic, little shit. Like not playing with no gay toy. It's the wrong color. It needs to be two-tone blue. He likes two-tone blue better than the solid blue. I mean, so some dogs have some perception, but I doubt that they have the same nuanced perception of whiteness that people do, especially because it's a cultural thing too. If you're used to seeing whitened whites, you're going to see them better than if you've never experienced that. I don't know. Anyway,
It's the opposite of people in the movies and on TV who overly whiten their teeth. And now every time you look at somebody who doesn't whiten their teeth, you're like, oh, that looks weird. It's opposite of that.
I know I had to choose how white I wanted my dentures. I didn't choose the whitest white because I thought it just looked too unnatural.
Yeah, it looks fake.
Yeah, it looks fake. And especially if you go from kind of bad teeth to intensely white teeth, like, well, hello.
It's shocking.
See, you got your dentures, eh? Okay, so we digress as we often do. The original whitener was Mrs. Stewart's bluing. MSB, Mrs. Stewart's Bluing. And that was a laundry product. They now even say that it can be used on hair, yours or your pets. They say that on their website. And then they have a disclaimer. This is from the experience of our customers, not a medical claim. They don't claim that it's safe, but they let you know that other people have said that it's safe. That's interesting.
That is.
Mrs. Stewart's bluing is a colloidal suspension of a very fine blue iron powder and water. You leave it on for a while, you dilute it, and you have to dilute it. People, it's not necessarily so that more is better with some of these whitening agents. And that's the truth with Mrs. Stewart's liquid bluing. If it isn't diluted, it's going to not be uniform. It's going to not apply uniformly. You're going to have darker and lighter, and it's shitty. So you've got to dilute it. They also tell you to watch and rinse your hair. And likewise, when you're using it in the laundry, you use Mrs. Stewart's bluing in the final rinse.
Were they using that right on the dog?
Yeah,
Oh,
I've done it.
okay.
It's okay. Our current blue and purple colorants do a much better job, but I've used Mrs. Stewart's just to see.
Do you ever turn a dog blue?
I have never turned a dog blue, but I turned a dog pink using Calco red white.
Right, I remember you mentioning that. Well, I always worried about that, about turning someone's dog blue, especially if I left it soaking too long or something like that. It's a possibility, isn't it?
Well, yeah, this is the shortcoming of colorant whitening with deposited colors, is that you can overdo it, you can apply it unevenly, you can leave it on too long and allow too much to deposit, and it actually turns the hair blue. I've seen women with blue hair. In fact, that was a joke for a long time because bluing has been used for old lady hair whitening for decades.
I remember.
But they didn't read the memo about to looking at it and washing it first and all of that good stuff. They just like overdid it. Hairdressers have done that. And that's the problem with using colorant whiteners that use colorant. If you use the other kind, if you use optical brighteners, which is also a laundry first product, nothing's going to happen. You're not going to have these accidents. But let's talk a little bit about blue and purple. Because in the beginning, there was blue, right? There was Mrs. Stewart's liquid bluing, and then we had blue for human hair. And we used blue for years. And then have you noticed that it's almost all of them are purple now?
Oh, really?
Why would that be?
Yeah, why?
Because blue colorants are effective at neutralizing orange and brassy tones in the hair, and purple colorants neutralize yellow tones in the hair. And yellow tones are the more common problem with hair than are the orange and brassy tones. Orange and brassy tones usually happen when you've bleached hair too much and then made it blonde.
Right.
We don't do that so much. So the purple pigments cancel out the warm yellow tones. Da-da. Well, I got so deep in this. So about the Calico red white, I don't know why they chose to use red instead of blue. It's unclear to me or to AI how red color operates to enhance the perception of white, except that it cancels green tones. It's used optically as a contrasting color. So if you put white alongside red, the white's going to look whiter. If you put white on a red background, the white's going to look brighter. So it's a contrasting agent, you might say. Other than that, I think it was kind of a mistake because people read red and they grab the shampoo. I read some comments on, I don't know if it was on Amazon or something. I've been all over the place with this project, where they said they bought the Calico red white and they're going to use it on their Irish setter, and it actually seemed to lighten the color.
Really?
Yeah. Well, that's because it pretty much cleaned it out and it left it more reflective or reflexive of light so that it appeared lighter. But it's not intended to be a red shampoo. It's intended to be a whitener. It's got other stuff in it to kind of lift the color out. I'm not going to dwell on that because I think it's a bad choice.
Okay.
Let's talk about optical brighteners.
Oh, yeah, that's what's in Best Shot.
It's in Best Shot, it's in Show Season, and it's in Ashley Craig. And I have to tell you that the Ashley Craig system for whitening is the best white I have ever had.
Really?
But it's an annoying system.
Didn't you have to stand on one leg facing north in the window?
Yeah, you have to use their special conditioner first, or you have to mix it and you have to use distilled water. But you can mix more or less whitener. So it does give you a little bit of room to play. If you use more whitener that has optical brighteners in it, it's not going to make it blue or some other color. It's just going to make it somewhat artificial looking. Too bright.
Like the teeth.
Yeah, kind of like the teeth. Too shiny. They often use silicone in there too, which is another way to get shine and to have the light bounce off the object. Silicone reflects light, but the optical brighteners actually absorb ultraviolet light and re-emits it as visible blue light. And visible blue light is what appears white.
Well, I was a skeptic. I was a skeptic about this optical brightener thing till I got the Best Shot shampoo and really used it. And it does seem to work.
And here's the deal, it works through the recirculating bathing system, whereas the colorant type of whitener really needs to be less diluted than what the bathing system does.
Yeah.
Doesn't work so well through a bathing system that is diluting the product that much. You don't really need a whole lot of optical brighteners to brighten a white dog. Colorant whiteners will suggest that you either apply it to a dry coat or apply it full strength. And then you risk the overdose. You know, go ahead.
Do you think we're going to keep using types of shampoo with colorant over optical brighteners, or are we probably going to head more towards optical brighteners?
I think we're going to be using both for a while, and it's going to depend a lot on the hair cosmetics industry. If they change, we'll change. And here's another thing. The optical brighteners are synthetic chemicals with big, long names. Well, there's two kinds. There's DSD and DSB. DSD, are you ready? Disodium diaminostilbene disulfonate.
That was impressive.
DSB. Disodium distyryl biphenyl disulfonate.
Those are scary names.
Those are scary names. They're not natural sounding. And that's why some companies will say optical brighteners, because optical brighteners we kind of recognize as a good thing because we use it in our laundry. Like the bluing agents have pretty well faded from the laundry industry. They're now more doing optical brighteners because it will whiten and brighten without bleach.
Then let me ask this.
Okay.
After you use a whitening shampoo, either the kind with colorant or the kind with optical brighteners, do you need to follow up with a conditioner even more than regular?
You don't need to use more. In fact, you probably would be better off to use less.
Okay.
That's one of the features of the Ashley Craig system, is that you kind of mix the conditioner and the whitener together, put it on a dry coat, and give it a couple of minutes and then rinse it all off. That system, I really liked it the best, but it was out of my range expensive.
Oh, yeah, right. I remember.
You know, out of my range expensive. And what's not out of my range is Show Season Bright, or the Best Shot is very much like the Ashley Craig. It's using an optical brightener. It's got sodium borate. They both have sodium borate as an extra cleansing booster. And they both have wheat protein. Why would you want wheat protein or any protein in a whitener? Can you guess?
Well, for conditioning?
Yeah, conditioning to smooth the hair shaft, the hair cuticles, so they best reflect the light. So it's a good thing. And if I would request a change to Show Season Bright, I would say let's have a protein in there. And then both Ashley Craig and Besha also use the same kind of contemporary water-soluble silicone in their whitener shampoo. So those two, Best Shot is actually similar to Ashley Craig, but you don't have as much control over how much whitening you might do or how much conditioning your particular dog's coat would need.
But you can use it with the recirculator, so that's an extra plus on that side.
Yep, you can use it with a recirculator. So I think that kind of covers it. Between those optical brighteners, the DSD and the DSB,
Yeah?
there's chemical differences, but the differences are nuanced. There's not huge distinctions between those two. You can't say that one's effective and another one isn't. All whitener shampoos have some risk for allergic reaction, whether it's colorants or optical brighteners. Some individuals might be sensitive to those things. So you just keep that in mind.
Okay. Watch for a reaction.
Watch for reactions. And I always like to say, please, people, if a client calls the next day or 2 days, even 3 days later, and says, he seemed fine when we picked him up, but now he's itching and got a rash and I think it's related to the grooming, take it seriously. Don't just dismiss that, because sometimes allergic reactions can take 2 or 3 days to really accumulate.
And sometimes you can use that same shampoo over and over again, and then it doesn't happen until like the 5th time or 6th time.
Or the 100th time, I know.
Or the 100th time, yes.
Yeah. So, I've always used that shampoo on him. That's not a disclaimer. That's not a get out of jail card.
Right. I like to mix it up a little bit and not use the exact same shampoo every time.
I do that too.
Oh, good.
Well, at least somewhat. Sometimes I'll use the same one twice, but over a period of time, I will be using different shampoos on the same dogs.
My exception to that is True Tearless on a dog where they're either smell sensitive or suspect some allergies, because I'll use that one over and over and over again without seeming.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's the exception to the mix it up. Yeah, you're right. It's the same as dealing with food allergies.
Yes.
One of the best way to prevent protein allergy is to mix your proteins up.
Absolutely.
Don't do a chicken protein. He's been on that food for life. Well, guess what? His body has now decided, enough of this shit. I'm going to kill you.
Time to try a different flavor.
Yeah, and by the way, if a dog is food allergic, he may be kind of a reactor. And his body may be reacting to a lot of things now, including shampoo products.
Be aware.
Beware. If you have any questions for me about this whitening presentation, please leave me a message on the Facebook group, the GroomPod discussion group on Facebook, and I'll try to address them. I hope I've been clear, even though I've been all over the place. And
that's that.
So there you go.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for being here, guys. Remember to support our sponsors, and thank you for the donations and Patreon. And happy grooming, everyone. We'll see you next week on the GroomPod. Bye-bye now.
Take care of yourselves, because we love you.